If natural selection was a science horror story, then market forces swings us right back into the criminal underworld. This episode introduces one of Spider-Man's most iconic foes, Shocker! While keeping Peter's personal struggles front and center. Because for every villain in a fancy power suit, there's still one kid trying to pay his aunt's bills. Let's dive into market forces. It's electrifying! The episode opens with Montana and the enforcers pulling off a high-tech robbery, stealing a red and yellow powered suit from Tricorp Industries. They hand it off to Hammerhead, who passes it right back to Montana, now under direct orders from the big man himself. The job? Use the suit to kill Spider-Man. It's a slick opening, efficient, menacing, and a reminder that in this world, crime isn't random, it's organized. The next morning at home, Peter Parker notices the mountain of unpaid bills stacking up on Aunt May's kitchen shelf. She's stressed but still finds time to tease Peter about not having a date for the fall formal. She mentions that her friend Anna Watson has a niece Peter's age with a, quote, lovely personality. And of course, Peter assumes that means personality over looks, and panics. He quickly lies, saying he promised to help Harry Osborn study, and bolts out the door. Classic Peter, dodging both danger and dating.
In one night.
This is it.
Good.
Let's go.
Evil. It's finally Wolverine versus Sabretooth. X-Men versus the Brotherhood. Spider-Man versus Doc Ock.
Ew! Can't we just hug it out?
Spidey and X-Men. It's game on. Friday night at 7/6 Central on Disney XD.
Peter heads to Harry's apartment where he's greeted by Norman Osborn, always the picture of a polite menace. Norman compliments Peter on his academic excellence, subtly digging at Harry in the process. The dynamic between these three is pitch perfect, part friendship, part cold corporate tension. When Peter and Harry finally sit down to study, Peter gets an email from the Daily Bugle. J. Jonah Jameson wants to buy his Spider-Man photos. And similar to how he treated Aunt May in the morning, Peter once again apologizes and bolts out the door and promises he'll be right back. Now at the Daily Bugle, Peter's greeted the only way Jameson knows how, by yelling at him. Jameson doesn't even remember who Peter is until Betty Brant explains he's the photographer they were expecting. Jonah pays him for the photos, then immediately demands more pictures of Spider-Man pronto. Peter barely has time to breathe before being shoved out the door again. It's pure Bugle chaos. Fast, funny, and just the right amount of absurd. On his way back to Harry's, Peter hears an alarm and spots a speeding truck. With Flint Marko and Alex O'Hearn behind the wheel, Spider-Man follows the chase to a landfill, unaware it's a setup. He easily takes down Flint and Alex, until a blast of energy knocks him off his feet. Enter the Shocker, Montana in the stolen Tricorp suit, now armed with gauntlets that can tear through steel. He hits Spidey with a sonic barrage, sending him flying into machinery and burying him under rubble. Shocker assumes the job is done and that our friendly neighborhood wall crawler is dead and buried. Spider-Man survives, Indiana Jones style, but his paycheck vaporized. And that's the old Parker luck at play. He survives death itself, but loses his paycheck in the process. The next day, Harry is furious that Peter ditched him again. Peter promises to make it up to him, but you can tell their friendship's starting to strain. And to make matters even worse, the stench of his dumpster battle with Shocker is still lingering, and Flash calls him out on it.
Usually when I say puny Parker stinks, it's a figure of speech, but whoa! And I showered 3 times last night.
Back at the Bugle, Peter asks Betty for a replacement check and meets Robbie Robertson, who suggests Peter invest in a better camera if he plans to keep freelancing. Because that's exactly what Peter needs, more expenses. But it is a nice mentor moment, one that sets up Peter's growth both as a photographer and a person. Later, as Spider-Man, he intercepts another robbery attempt by Flint and Alex, telling them to pass a message to Shocker. He wants a rematch.
Really hate that guy. This is really getting heavy.
That night, Peter makes it home just in time for curfew. He finds Aunt May struggling to figure out which bills she can delay this month. Peter looks at the bugle money, wanting to help, but remembers Robbie's advice about buying a better camera. It's the heart of the episode in one small, quiet scene. Responsibility isn't just about fighting villains. It's about choosing between what you need and what you owe. The next day, things get worse. Harry's still angry with Peter. Hammerhead warns Shocker that the big man is unhappy Spider-Man's still alive, and Peter gets rejected twice when he tries to ask Betty out to the formal. And just when you think things can't get more chaotic, the ground starts to shake. And that could only mean one thing. The Shocker is back.
There's a better way to play Spider-Man. And you know how! Spectacular Spider-Man vehicles and action figures. Spectacular Spider-Man action figures and vehicles, each sold separately.
Spider-Man follows the Tremors to a condemned theater where Shocker's waiting for round 2. The rematch is fast, loud, and stylish. A true early series highlight. Spider-Man ducks between collapsing scaffolding, cracks jokes mid-fight, and keeps trying to get Shocker to spill who hired him. Of course, Montana doesn't talk, but Spidey's distracting conversation worked as he lures him into blasting the building's supports, collapsing the theater on top of him and knocking him out cold. It's not a flashy victory, but it's classic Spider-Man. It's clever, it's scrappy, and somehow still broke.
And that's what they call bringing down the house.
Later, back at the Osborn penthouse, Harry complains to his father about Peter flaking again. Norman cuts him off instantly, tells him to stop blaming others and take responsibility for himself. And honestly, that's some pretty good advice. Norman then heads into his private office, where Hammerhead is waiting. Turns out it was Norman Osborn who helped them steal the Tricorp suit in the first place, because Tricorp is his biggest rival. Hammerhead puts the big man on speaker, who offers Norman funding in exchange for developing more superpowered criminals. Because that's exactly what New York City needs. With the partnership now official, the crime world just got a corporate sponsor. Back home, Peter gives his bugle earnings to Aunt May. She accepts, but insists he keep 10% of every check for himself to buy that new camera Robbie mentioned. It's a small but touching moment, showing that even when money's tight, May still wants Peter to grow. He may not have a date, a best friend's trust, or a working camera, but he's still got his aunt, his city, and his responsibility. And for Peter Parker, that's just enough. Market Forces is where the spectacular Spider-Man starts expanding its world, connecting the mob, Oscorp, and the rise of supervillains into one seamless web. It's not just about another villain of the week, it's about the economy of evil. How power, money, and science feed into each other. And right in the middle is Peter Parker. Broke, overworked, but still trying to do the right thing. Because that's the real market force driving this show. Not greed, not ambition, but heart. And that's what makes it truly spectacular.
What's she like?
Oh, she has a wonderful personality.
Oh, this girl Aunt May wants me to meet. Oh, get this, she has a wonderful personality.
Peter, throw me the ball.
Something smells bad.
Oh, still? I washed this costume 5 times. Talk about incompetent. You've had more shots at me than Marco and O'Hearn. And done about as well.
Them boys are punks. This is my profession.
You do this for a living? With that accent, I was thinking rodeo clown.
Don't you mock me, boy.
I mock. I'm a mocker.
That wraps up this edition of Plot Pulse. And a big thank you for making it all the way to the end of the video. Be sure to subscribe to the channel and check out more videos like this one.